The C+ or Camera and Photo Imaging Show is almost over. Canon introduced the Canon R8 before the show. This camera is what I expected from Nikon, but this camera turned out to be an everyday camera, not with the specs of the Z9. But Nikon does have a big release, and you guessed it, we have to wait again. It's time for another photo news brief. This photo news brief is about how Canon stomped out Nikon's fire with the introduction of the Canon R8. Nikon's big release for 2022 was the Nikon Z30. Wow, that's a little underwhelming. But maybe 2023 will look up because there is a big announcement coming March the 25th. Now that I have your attention, please subscribe. So I'm Vaughn, a longtime Nikon user. For months, I have waited for a new full-frame camera from Nikon to replace my aging cameras that are basically EOL or end of life. The majority of Nikon's lineup outside of the Z line are in the early stages of EOL. My Nikon Z6 II or Z2 is now 2.5 years old. I still use it with my event photography, but I want a camera that has good subject detection, not adequate detection. For my event photography, I use single point autofocus because in low light and in situations where there are one or more people, the subject detection gets to jitters and goes soft. Nikon users, don't get mad, you know it's true. But you can still send those comments. Canon and Sony are ahead in the autofocus department, but this isn't why I bought a Nikon camera. I bought Nikon because they had a reputation for having durable cameras and great color science. But this durability is what, in my opinion, makes their brand seem stagnant. Durability in today's world is a weight around a company's ankles. Nikon's color science is a great asset to have, but with all the presets and filters from third-party vendors, photographers can create their own simulated color science. Let's talk about what Canon is doing in marketing to keep Nikon a distant third in the global market. As you know, Canon has a 48% market share of digital cameras, Sony has a 22% share, and Nikon a 13% share. Canon produced a camera on average every 3 months. Canon introduced 4 new cameras, the full-frame EOS R5S in January, 2 APS-C cameras in May, the EOS R10, the EOS R7, and finally the R6 Mark II in November. Sony released the A7R5 with a 61 megapixel full-frame sensor and the vlogging camera, the Sony ZV-1. Nikon released the Nikon Z30, a APS-C camera in 2023. That was their only release. I guess their strategy was laying low until after the supply chain strains eased and the economy stopped flatlining. Plus, Nikon is a smaller camera manufacturer and doesn't pursue the quantity strategy of marketing. Nikon's main focus is satisfying each demographic with a camera. It uses more for the same positioning strategy. Now that those camera introductions for 2022 are out of the way, let's talk about you subscribing to my channel for 2023. You will get the latest Nikon news and more. Now back to Canon's clever marketing scheme. Am I being Captain Obvious? But Canon is using the same camera numbers as Nikon for their mirrorless cameras. For example, the Canon R6 Mark II rivals the Nikon Z6 II now in technology and features. Next, the EOS R7 and R6 muddy the line between the functionality of the current Z6 and the Z7 lines. And now Canon has released the R8 ahead of Nikon's big release, March the 28th, 2023. According to rumors, Nikon will most likely release the Z8. Will the release of the Z8 rally the Nikon users as the Z9 did at the end of 2021? The Nikon Z8 will be positioned as the D850 was to the D6. The two cameras are meant to complement each other. The Z9 is for professionals and the Z8 for the semi-professional enthusiast photographers. I don't want to bore you with the stats from the Canon R8, so I'll just leave them in the descriptions because they won't match the camera that is being introduced because this will most likely be higher end technology. I learned my lessons from my other Nikon Z videos. Go to the link above. Plus the R8 isn't positioned as a semi-professional camera. The R8 is definitely a prosumer camera. 2023 is going to be very interesting. Maybe I can finally trade in my old cameras for a shiny new Nikon Z8. If you haven't already abandoned Nikon, maybe it's time you at least drive by your old home to see if it has been gentrified. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe.